Hi, welcome back to Science Rocks. We're at the FETC Conference in Orlando, where educators from around the world are talking technology. And for us, that means STEM. So what is FETC? The acronym stands for the Florida Education Technology Conference. I talked to Chris Filer, the editor-in-chief of the journal Technology magazine, to find out how the conference fits together with STEM.
Well, it is all about having teachers and educators from around the country coming together to learn how to use technology to improve teaching and learning in the classroom. And the name Florida Educational Technology Conference is a little bit misleading because actually we have 8,000 attendees here from all 50 states and 40 different countries. So it's really an international conference. As a society, if you look around, we're going through huge technological changes, and the conference is designed to help people use the latest technology in ways that are going to be effective in a classroom, not just get the latest, shiniest, newest toy, but to use it in a way that's going to help students learn better.
And STEM is a big part of using technology in a meaningful way to prepare students for 21st century careers. Careers like architecture. And the opening keynote speaker knows a lot about that. Danny Forrester is the host of Discovery Channel's Build It Bigger television program. Forrester got his master's degree in architecture from Harvard, and he has a passion for education.
You know, one of the great things about having a broader platform like a television show is to be able to really sneak your content in through the airwaves, right? You know, our show Build It Bigger is about big architecture and big buildings and construction, but fundamentally, it's about the STEM behind the buildings. The questions of why. Why are buildings shaped the way they are? And so for me, it's always a kind of a dual-edged sword. We want to make an entertaining, exciting, fun show, but really, I feel like a professor through TV. We want to be teaching through our television show. It's not just about spectacle. The spectacle is always in service of an aha moment, some kind of takeaway. We used to say to ourselves, like, why are we hanging off the side of the building? Because on the side of the building, you understand the geometry. And so for me, it is always one and the same, getting out those ideas about STEM education and creating something that's compelling for students to watch. You know, when I think about the way in which a kind of building can be stable, that's material technology at play, that's engineering, that's science behind all of that. It's all in there, but for me, the content, right, the exterior experience always went beyond the kind of subject matter. Right. You know, when I was a kid, if you told me study STEM, I'd be like, I don't like science. Little did I know the things I liked were powered by science. And I think that was a big turning point for me, to understand that the content is interesting in its own sort of small way, but when you begin to understand its application, if you begin to understand the different ways in which STEM infiltrates kind of everything in the world, that's when I think things start cooking.
And STEM is cooking here at FETC, so let's dive right into some of the concurrent sessions. This is Martha Green from Collier County in Southwest Florida. She is showing educators a ton of different apps that support STEM education. She tells me what their district is doing with STEM.
We are really heavily invested in STEM. We do a lot of work with the Discovery Channel. We're a DE site, and we also sponsor some STEM competitions district-wide. We have branched out into a lot of certifications that are industry certifications, and we have a lot of opportunities for our students to work with businesses in the community that are STEM related, and we've really made a commitment to increasing STEM activities throughout, starting even at kindergarten all the way up through high school.
Michael Gorman is Indiana's STEM Educator of the Year. He talks about connecting multiple content areas with STEM.
I think one of the things I'm really going to try to do is show how all the disciplines are related and how bringing that relationship together brings this authenticity to student learning. And so, you know, STEM isn't just something, science, technology, engineering, math, it isn't something we just read about in a book. It's something we do, it's something we experience. I think you hit it, that content, but more even that light bulb aha moment where kids kind of go, wow, I get it. There's more here than just, again, a paragraph or whatever, and I get an understanding, and you'll see some students I've had will then actually look into certain things, say, I'm really interested in that, and that's always my next thing for them is, what's your goals from here? What are you going to do? And sometimes that goes into that career aspect and whatever.
Student engagement is what Brian Cosby knows all about. He's the STEM facilitator from Northwest Nevada, and he shows educators videos from some of his lessons that have students on the edge of their seats.
We do a lesson where you use those old film canisters and you put Alka-Seltzer tablets and they shoot off, and then you have the kids have to redesign the outside to try to make it go further. And you come into schools where kids have had science narrowed out for 10 years, and so this might be their first experience like that, and they just light up, and then the teacher sees that and the principal sees that, and all of a sudden they're hearing back from kids' parents, because kids that don't usually go home and talk to their parents about school are coming home and talking to their parents about school, and so the school's getting some pressure from parents sometimes about those things, and so it really takes off.
The conference is also a great way for vendors to showcase some of their products. Connects Education is having workshops for teachers.
And the students are going to be building cars, and the students today happen to be teachers who are learning how to use these things in their classroom. So they'll be building cars that are rubber band powered, spring powered, or wind powered, and then they will be running those on a track that we've set up with measurements on it, and they're going to see how far do these cars go based on the energy source, whether it be spring, rubber band, or wind. Collect data. They're going to do some graphing and try to do a little bit of math, a little bit of science, a little bit of technology, and some engineering, of course.
Connects Education, how does it support STEM in the classroom?
Well, because it's hands-on, the kids are building. We want them to brainstorm models. We want them to make diagrams of them in advance. We want them to build the model, see how it performs, and then if it's not working up to snuff, they go back, they troubleshoot, they redesign, they re-diagram, and they re-experiment with a model that's been changed.
Can you explain what is the next level of Connects Education?
Well, the next level of Connects Education is a computer-controlled programming that we have with several of our pieces of equipment. We put together through hands-on kinesthetic, science pieces, and then students will program from the computer into an interface, and then once they have it programmed into the interface, they can disconnect it from the computer, and then they can test a program. It can hold one program at a time, so they can have multiple students come to one of the laptops, plug into it, download into the interface, and then take the interface and go to the workstation and test out their devices and see how their programming went.
Later in the show, we'll show you how our STEM Academy students are using Connects to build and test bridges. Of course, the exhibit hall is where you get bombarded with all the new toys of technology. So let's see what they have. I'm here with Carla from Pasco Scientific, and for our STEM Academies, we've purchased some new technology that we'll be using and infusing this year and also next year. Carla, can you share with us what you're holding?
Sure, this is the Spark Science Learning System. It is a fully integrated system that allows students to collect data in real time using a variety of sensors, then allowing them to take that data that they've collected and do a lot of mathematical analysis with it. It also incorporates a lot of the engineering practices by freeing up some of the time for them to retry their experiments and then redesign whatever their original problem was.
It comes with some attachments, and we purchased some for Pinellas County. Can you discuss some of those attachments that come with the Spark?
Sure, and I think we may have some here as well. One is a motion sensor, which allows students to measure their position in front of a small detector, and it provides a graph, a visual representation of their movement, which is great, especially for physical science, where kids tend to struggle with that, the graphical part. You guys also received a force sensor, which allows students to measure force in various objects, as well as a temperature and a voltage sensor, which are commonly used in elementary schools.
I am a robot, and they just,
Hi, we're here with Iliad from Robots Lab. Can you tell us what are some of the products that you're offering?
So we are basically a robotics, educational robotics company. We bring robots to the classroom as a teaching aid that actually helps teachers to demonstrate all kinds of abstract concepts in math and science using the robots. Robots are fun, like everyone loves them. And what we found is that because students love them, they can actually learn things like quadratic equations, sine, cosine, vectors, and so on much better using these robots. So we've developed a program that we call STEMU. It's basically a program that's designed to answer each one of the S, T, E, and M. And in each one of them, we have a different set of robots that we bring to the classroom, and the teachers can actually, use that to demonstrate different subjects.
Can you go back to the design of this process?
Yes,
so when this is in the classroom,
yeah.
you mentioned 3D components to it.
Yes.
Can you discuss that a little further?
Sure. So we provide the motors, the wires, the electronics, okay, and the students work on the design of that, so they can change the the layout, they can the structure and everything, and they can actually later on 3D print the parts. So each one of these parts are actually 3D printed. Okay, so we can of course provide the parts if the school don't have a 3D printer, or we can provide the 3D printer if you need that. Yeah, definitely. But the idea is to work with the students all the way from the conception of a product all the way to something that's actually interacting with you.
What's amazing is they put it on the ground and the sun hits it and it actually takes off. They all get a big scream out of it. They think it's the funniest thing ever.
So, Buzz, can you share with us, how does PITSCO Education connect with STEM initiatives in the schools and school districts?
Well, STEM, as you know, is a big subject and big area, and everybody's trying to get their hands around it. The maker movement is a big deal where kids are getting their hands on learning. And that's really kind of the pinnacle of what we built the company on some 30 years ago. It's becoming really vogue now, where kids are using technology, of course, but they're also getting this kind of organic experience that's somewhat innate to build things and learn by building. So it's really neat, and that's really the kinesthetic part of it is where we shine, because we make all kinds of kits and manipulatives and things that kids can actually cobble together and learn by doing. Our 3D printing solution, which gives 25 kits for kids to put together a solar car, and they actually render some of the parts on the 3D printer, so it gives real meaning and context to 3D printing. And then lastly, we have some really cool low-cost kits that are solar car kits, and also wind generators for some eco-STEM, and everyone likes that type of thing, and it's low cost, so it's easy to do, and works great.
Well, this wraps up our experience at the FETC Conference. We learned how STEM is affecting students around the nation. And when we come back, I'll visit the after-school STEM Academy at Medellin Middle School to see how they're using Connects to build bridges and test complex engineering principles. Science Rocks rolls on in a moment.